Hey, on this Gun Talk Nation, KJ's talking with Keli and Brian from Lockdown. They're going to talk about securing your lifestyle with Lockdown products and also diversifying your life. Gun Talk Nation is brought to you by Franklin Armory, Ballistic Advantage, Gun Dealio, and ATN, the future of optics.
All right, Gun Talk Nation, I am your stand-in guest, KJ. I'm filling in for Ryan Gresham as he is out in the world doing life. And I'm joined today by the Lockdown folks. Keli and Brian are here, or I guess Mrs. Doubtfire is here, and we were just having a good time. So how you guys doing?
We're great, man. Thanks for having us.
Very good. Yep. Thank you.
So can you give us a little Miss Doubtfire, Keli?
Hello.
There we go. All right, we're in there. So I just want a little bit of background on each of you. Let's get this started with that. We're going to start with Brian. We're just going to go down the line. We don't have a lot of show and tell today, but we're going to talk about, eventually once we get past the intros, we're going to talk about being diverse in what you do in your daily lives and in your work lives to help you grow as a person. And I guess you would kind of almost say a complete combatant, and which both of you are familiar with. So, Brian, let's start with you.
Sure.
Well, hold on a second. Let's do this right. Ladies first. All right, we're going to Keli first.
Keli, go ahead.
And she's speechless. Come on. You didn't give us anything.
Okay, so I'm the associate brand manager. I have been with the company for almost a year, and I love every second. I used to be a zookeeper. It turned out I liked the marketing portion of that much, much better. So I moved careers and across the state.
Like completely different careers, because your background, you got a degree in zoology, correct? And so I have to know, what was your favorite animal to work with, right? We've got to know that, right?
Yeah.
The red-legged Sariema.
I don't even know what that is.
Yeah, it's a bird.
Oh, okay. Well,
bird.
She could at least said it's a bird. It's a bird. Like, so why was it fun?
They're just really sweet, and they out in the wild pick up snakes and whack them on the ground, and they're like a snake predator, basically.
Wow.
Do people own them as pets and take them on hunting trips?
I would not own them as pets.
Why not?
I mean, they're a wild animal.
Well, they're a wild animal, but still, like, to have that's protection. I feel that's like a self-protection need for every snake hater out there.
Yeah.
Which I am one. That would be great. Snake trying to like slide up your leg, and all of a sudden, there's the bird.
And then,
What would you name it?
Nigel.
Nigel?
that's a good one.
Oh, yeah. Sick 'em, Nigel. Like, what is that how you would say that?
That doesn't come out right. Something different.
Or Pete.
Pete. Sick 'em Pete. Sick 'em Pete. Yeah, I like that better.
Yeah.
It's better than Nigel. For sure.
Nigel sounds so formal.
It does.
It's like he's gonna
sit there like this.
Yeah.
And not move.
He is. Yeah,
Or
he's a fancy boy.
he's gonna read a good novel before he buys you tea.
Tea and
And offers you crackers. Like, with the snakes looking all confused, like, what is this? What is this? All right, Brian, let's hit you next.
All right, so I've been with Lockdown for 5 years now.
Oh my gosh.
And I know, man, it's been a while. So I was the product engineer, product designer for Lockdown for a long time. So all the magnets, the in plain sight shelf, the dehumidifiers, those were all my projects. So, and then the
in plain sight shelf was yours.
Me. Yeah,
I dig that one. That one's a fun one.
Yeah, and so I got the opportunity to take over as brand manager, and definitely couldn't turn it down. I've always been, Rennell's kind of right hand man for all the events. I ran the SHOT Show booth 2 years ago at SHOT.
Now that was 2 years ago. Would have been 3 years ago, right?
3 years ago, and now, yeah, you're right. Yep,
because we skipped one in there.
We did skip one. Yep. But I'm any of the events and stuff that happen at the range, I'm usually there, And so I'm around all the events and
Which
everything.
is okay. So for most people
Yeah.
like that understand this, and you two have seen this, you're not the normal engineer type.
Yeah, that's true.
You're like definitely an
Yeah.
anomaly.
Yeah. They let me out of the engineering room sometimes. So
well, because
yeah.
you're personable.
Yeah.
And like you've diversified, and that's what we're going to get into, and we're going to talk about. But I don't know many engineers that could be on like a podcast.
Yeah. I can't think of any in the office.
See?
Maybe
There
Brett.
you go.
Brett's good. I like Brett. But yeah, it's tough, man. But I love it. I've always been that way. A lot of times I would stand up and kind of pitch the new products and stuff to the sales team or whatever, and sometimes the sales guys would come up to James, my boss, and be like, "So, you sure he's in the right department?" And which is funny because
So-
that was years ago. And now
So is
here I
that
am,
is that like a hard sell? Just like to go in there and go, this is why we need this product. Because I think that's the most interesting fact about like engineering and
Yeah.
marketing
Yeah.
in big companies
Right.
that you have to like
Right.
sell these folks on like buying off on
Yeah.
like your
Yeah.
ideas basically.
Right. Yeah. So we're the engineers are given a kind of a overall idea of what brand management wants. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm kind of giving the overall ideas, which I love.
Yeah.
But you're right. Yeah. The engineers take that idea, they make it their own. And, at the end of the day, it is their project.
Right.
We call them the project champion. And so, there's a lot of other people involved. You have graphics, and you have visual, and you have content, and you have, the electrical team, and everybody kind of works together
Sales.
to
Sales
sales,
is the
yeah.
big one.
yeah, to create this thing. But in the end, the project champion is the champion at the end of the day. So.
Well, and the product itself.
Yeah.
I mean, like that's, and how many have gotten shot down?
Oh, I don't know.
Does it hurt your feelings?
A little bit. Yeah. Yeah.
Like, I work so hard.
Yeah. You put, and that's what makes somebody who's good at their job, though, is, they do kind of put everything that they have into something,
Wow.
So, but, it's just part of it. It's just part of the gig. So
Yeah.
you get used to it.
So, I mean, I know that a lot of our listeners have heard us talk about lockdown products before. They've heard me talk about them on the Gun Talk Hunt podcast, on Guns and Gear, Gun Talk Radio, all across our platforms, even FPD, First Person Defender. For those who might be just tuning in and are viewing your shirt, your glorious shirt and your hat,
Yeah.
you're very logoed out.
I am today. Yeah.
I mean,
yeah.
so he is representing his brand very loyally and very well. That is a nice shirt, though. I do like it.
Appreciate it. I'll get you one.
Yeah.
You know a guy.
See, there we go. No, what I'd rather do is like let's give those to listeners. Like
Yeah,
let's
let's do
do that.
We can do
Like,
that.
That would be cool.
For sure. Yeah.
But anyway, give us an idea who Lockdown is and
Yeah.
what you guys do.
Right.
But first, I want a 5-year view of it, and then I want a 1-year view of it. I want Keli to give us her thoughts on it.
Interesting. I
Yeah.
like that. Okay.
Well, because you kind of been there,
Yeah,
you've done that, you've seen the evolution, but
Yeah.
she's fresh. She has different
I
eyes
like
and
it.
like
Yeah, no,
sees it a
makes
different
sense.
way.
Makes sense. All right. So 5-year kind of overview. It's mostly been inside the safe.
Mm-hmm.
We do a lot of safe organization. That was kind of the bread and butter. A lot of hygrometers, dehumidifiers. Keep your firearms safe.
The golden rods and
yeah.
lights and all
Right.
that good stuff.
Yeah, so all of that was kind of in the safe, and then we did the puck, which was kind of in the safe, but it also kind of allowed you to do some other things with it,
Yeah.
and kind of get creative with it and move outside the safe. And
That was really your first kind of venture into it, wasn't it?
Oh, yeah,
On
for
kind
sure.
of moving securing your lifestyle
yeah,
outside of the safe,
Yeah, yeah.
which a lot of folks don't realize that. Yes, they're secure inside, but they also need to be secured outside.
right,
Like,
yeah. No, it was a first for us. We learned a lot, and it's a great product. I've got a bunch of them in my house. A lot of people use them. It's done pretty well for us, but it allowed us to kind of get outside the safe a little bit. I think the in plain sight shelf also did that too.
oh yeah, yeah, that's a good point.
Because we're still securing your lifestyle, we're still securing your firearms, but everybody doesn't keep all their guns in the safe.
Right.
We all,
Oh, yeah.
got them kind of spread out throughout the house, and I've got young kids, so for me, it was really important. I just can't keep a firearm on a nightstand anymore,
Right.
or, tucked under a couch cushion or something like I used to. You have to have them up, but you also, want them to be easily accessible, right? So a gun's worthless if you can't get to it. And so that's one of the reasons, not to keep them all in the safe, because you're like, hold on a second, let me go downstairs and get into the safe real quick.
Right.
Hey, Mr. or Mrs. Robber, please stop what you're doing.
I'll be right back.
Yeah.
You stay right there. Yeah.
I've been dreaming of this moment. Hold on.
Yeah. So, that's kind of where like the magnets come into play. A lot of people use the magnets to, put one under their desk or something like that. Or, but what's cool about the in plain sight shelves is still, having it, right there in a living room or something, and it just looks like a normal shelf until it's not.
Oh yeah.
So
yeah. Well, that's cool. All right. A 1 year view.
I feel like we're going in a completely broader direction, which I appreciate, because like he said, you're not going to ask somebody to hang on while you go to your safe and put in the code, and you want your firearms where you can reach them. And usually the people who are prepared have them in every room or something in every room. So this is a great way to not only display your firearms proudly, but have them accessible.
Right. And the secure walls they're fantastic. We spent the last day like installing some in a storage room, and they are phenomenal.
So cool, man. I love it. It's my favorite product.
Oh yeah. Right now, it's clean looking. It cleans everything up. And I think staying organized is huge.
Sure.
And that's one thing that I'm glad you guys did. We're going to hop in here with a quick break, but when we come back, we're going to talk about why you need to diversify professionally and in your daily life.
ATN makes a lot of different products, especially for hunting all times of day, whether that's day or night, including thermal and night vision. And frankly, right now is a great time for thermal and night vision. If you're in the deep south, a lot of places you can hunt at night, hunt hogs, that type of thing. It's one of the most fun types of hunting you can do. And you can find your optic now at ATN's website, along with monthly promos and deals. They run a lot of different promos and deals, and that's the way to pick one of these things up. ATNcorp.com. Ruger, the Ruger Max 9 micro-size striker-fired 9mm pistol, offering 12+1 capacity in a very small footprint. Of course, it's optics ready for direct mounting of micro red dot sights. It's available in 3 different models, and you can find out more at Ruger.com/Max9.
All right, we're back, and you're not listening to the sweet vocal pipes of Mr. Ryan Gresham. You've got KJ instead, that annoying voice in your ear. So we've got lockdown here. We're talking with Brian and Keli. We're talking about diversifying, and let's start on the personal side first, because I think that's something. Talking to Keli, I'm going to start with Keli because ladies first, as always. That talking with you, that really kind of made me start to kind of reflect on my own, like how am I diversifying? Because you do a lot of different things. Like when you start talking, you make your own stained glass, like, and that's shocking. And she's about to start trying to become a blacksmith. And you weightlift, and like you're a 2nd degree black belt in Shoin-ryu, which is, tell everybody.
It's a Japanese style of martial art that comes from Okinawa.
So that to me is like, man, that's such a broad range. And then she cooks, she bakes, she grows her own food, and like that to me is pretty impressive. Cool. And so, what drives you to diversify like that?
I just feel like my mind is always moving, and I have to find new outlets to do things. That's why I started.
You get bored, like that's what I hear. Like you get bored very quickly. But I mean, to get a 2nd degree black belt in anything that takes a long time and a lot of dedication.
Mm-hmm. Yep, I started when I was 7. And then when I moved away to college, I would still practice with my dad when I came home. Mm-hmm. But after that, it kind of, you do less and less because you can't go to the...
Well, those motor skills are still there, though.
Right.
I mean, because we were talking and we were telling them how, like, I was like, look, this ain't New Orleans of, like, 10 years ago. Like it's pretty rough down there. And Keli kind of just looks at me and goes, I think I'm okay. And I'm like, what? And that's what prompted the question. Like, wait a second, what do you mean by that? Like, you're carrying. Oh, great.
Yeah.
And that's where my mind went was, she carries. No, like she's always carrying 2 guns and like, and kicks. So that just prompted my mind to start running. And Brian, you do more like gun stuff. And so talk about that a little bit.
Sure. Yeah. So, I bought my first pistol in 2011. So I had guns before that, that were kind of handed down to me. But that was like my first gun purchase. It was a Springfield Armory XDM. And as like with all the other stuff I do, I did a bunch of research and stuff beforehand. And
you know what's funny is that I want to say when I turned 21, that was the first one I bought as well.
Yeah,
was an XDM.
Yeah, it's a great gun, Still to this day, it's my nightstand gun now. So I bought that, and then I started shooting competition. I think like 6 months after buying that first pistol, and I was going to the range all the time, and I really enjoyed getting better. But at a certain point, like just standing still, shooting at the same target over and over again just got boring for me. And so I just started looking around, and we've got this incredible facility, Green Valley, that's just 10 minutes away from us. It's one of the top ranges in the country. And, IPSC actually started at that range with the Chapman Academy, and it's got a ton of history, man. It's really cool. And so, I started shooting IDPA there, and if you don't know about IDPA, it's the International Defensive Pistol Association, so it's kind of built around concealed carry. And so, I wore my inside the waistband holster with my gun, with just like a normal shirt. And I literally
Did you go Hawaiian shirt?
No, I didn't go. I don't actually
missed
own a
opportunity.
Hawaiian shirt. I know. But I used that, as practice for concealed carry. And then, I just got better and better. And then I started taking it more seriously as like competition side. So then I switched to the whole IDPA vest. I built a custom.
Really?
Yeah, I built a custom double stack 1911, a 2011. And so that's been my competition gun for like 7 or 8 years now.
No kidding.
And so, that's kind of what got me really, really into the firearms side, not just being a firearms
So
owner,
how
but
was that switch from, I guess you're carrying over a lot of the same functionality as you would in your daily life, but how did switching over from the mindset of I'm going to now do really competitive because you started out more like this will help my concealed carry.
Right, exactly.
What was that process like?
I think the biggest thing was just that, I noticed that I was consistently getting better. I was like, I didn't really care about the scores, but when
you did.
When I would look at them, I'm like, wow, like I'm, slowly moving up, in the pack, and I'm not really taking it that seriously. And so I thought, well, what can I do if I do take it seriously, And luckily I had a ton of really, really, really good mentors, that helped me along the way. And, I still think back to those guys that, kind of helped push me along and, stretch my boundaries. And so then, I started getting into it. And then this is, before I had kids, I was traveling all over the country shooting, state matches all over the place. So
that's awesome.
Took it really seriously. And then, as I had kids, I tried to dial back the travel. And so now I've been the match director for IDP at Green Valley for the past 5 years, I think.
No kidding.
So now
just another evolution of who you are and what you do. That's so easy to do.
Yeah, I tend to kind of go all in with a hobby. And then normally I get burnt out on it pretty quickly. I usually last about 3 to 5 years in a hobby.
Well, this one is hung on.
Yeah,
thankfully.
It's hung on for a long time. I think I've been doing it for 12 years now, something like that, 11, 12 years.
Man, that's ridiculous. Yeah. All right, we're gonna take our last break, and when we get back in, we're gonna talk about Keli's other deadly obsession.
Springfield Armory has expanded their lineup of 10mm pistols. The newest one is the XDM Elite 4.5-inch OSP. OSP meaning optical sight pistol. Yes, it's ready for red dots. It is a 16+1 capacity. It features their matched enhanced trigger assembly, which is a flat face, crisp break, integral, over travel, all the cool stuff to help you shoot better. Of course, it's optics cut, and you can find out more at springfield-armory.com. Ballistic Advantage, they manufacture precision quality rifle barrels, uppers, lowers, and other components to help you with your next AR build. And that's kind of their bread and butter, is making really high quality components for building an AR. Barrels that deliver round after round consistently, accurately, and with minimal recoil. It's kind of a special little secret sauce they have going over there. The perfect mix of U.S. craftsmanship and state-of-the-art manufacturing, barrels from Ballistic Advantage rank among the best money can buy. BallisticAdvantage.com. Find out more. Franklin Armory, it's your trusted source for binary trigger systems, quality firearms, and much more. Binary trigger systems, what's that all about? You pull the trigger, the gun goes bang. When you release the trigger, the gun goes bang. You go, oh my, yes, exactly, I know. But the good thing is they do it safely and in a way that you can actually control it and really have fun with the gun, because it does have a selector switch on the side for safe, fire, and then the binary mode. Products like the new GS173 BFS 3 kit for Glock Model 17 Gen 3s. That's right, a binary trigger for a Glock 17. Check that out and much more at franklinarmory.com.
All right, we're back. Gun Talk Nation. I'm your stand-in host just for a week. Mr. Regression will be back. I'm KJ. I'm joined with Brian and Keli. Keli, we're talking about diversity, and you okay there?
Yeah.
Okay. So you have another one that's near and dear to my heart, which is you are kind of a big deal in the traditional archery world, right?
Yeah, I love archery, traditional especially. I got my first bow when I can't even remember. My dad had actually made it. He went to a bow maker. They took a full-size longbow and cut it in half to make a child-size longbow. And I used that for years until I grew out of it. And then I made my first ever big purchase and got an Impala recurve.
Good night.
Yeah, so that was a great start to that journey. And then in high school, we had a state competition my senior year, and I won that. And then now they brought back some competitions at work, and I've
You've been cleaning house, basically.
Yeah.
Well, she's cleaning house up until once they said, okay, we're separating traditional and compound.
Yeah.
Compound archers are sometimes cheaters, in my eyes. I mean, they
certainly take longer.
Well, yeah. I mean, when you have that much let off, I mean, you can take as long as you want, right?
Yep.
I mean, when it's in traditional archery, is all instinctive.
Yes.
It's very instinctive. It's like the fly fishing. I mean, is what I look at it as of the hunting world. Right. Yeah. So we're talking about diversity and becoming well-rounded. And I think for our viewers out there, I think time constraints are the biggest boundary of entry into something new. Maybe it's financial. But Keli, you're on a different level when it comes to that, because time constraints don't seem to bother you. I don't know how you fit as much as you do in your time constraints.
I'm just really fast.
She's a fast learner, and she gets her tasks done quickly.
Yeah. I don't like there to be a to-do list. I like there to be a done list. Yes.
That's a mindset thing too.
It is, yeah.
I mean, that's 100% a mindset thing. And Brian, you're really kind of the same way, and especially in your professional life, where we talked about that you are an engineer at the base of it, but you enjoy the marketing side of it, and you're able to grow that.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that and the professional development that you've seen and how it affects you, how you've diversified, basically.
Yeah, that's a good question. So,
I only ask hard questions on these podcasts.
Good, man. I like it. It's deep. So I started out as a product designer. That's my background. I have a degree in product design, and always enjoyed kind of the whole development cycle of a product, how it starts from an idea, and, at Lockdown, we're able to like kind of start with that idea and see it all the way through to production. You know, a lot of times, especially for designers, you know, we only get to see a really small segment of that, and then you hand it off to engineering, and then they hand it off to, you know, but we get to see that project from the very beginning all the way to the really end. And what I enjoyed about that was being able to kind of see, you know, this product come to life. And I did a lot of kind of freelance design before, and I would come up with this cool idea, and then I'd hand it off. And by the time it came out, it wasn't my idea.
It wasn't
anymore,
yours.
you know. And I'm like, well, I can't really put my name on that. You know what I mean? All the cool stuff that I wanted, you know, they decided was too expensive, so they made it all cheap. And
Of course.
So now, like, having control of that from the very beginning to the end, I really enjoyed about being a designer at Lockdown. And so from the marketing side, though, you know, it's kind of the same way. Like, you also get to see that progression. Like, you're the one. Brand management is basically saying, okay, this is the space that we have to play in. You know, we have permission to play in these areas. These are the products that are doing really well. Can we expand on that? These are new areas that we can get into that, you know, it's like, okay, well, we've always secured products in the safe. How can we kind of move outside of that? And so it's like, okay, well, you know, you buy a 40 gun safe, you only fit 20 guns in it.
Yeah.
You know,
What's up with that?
yeah, I don't know. Their math is interesting. You know,
I
it's
mean,
like 40 single shot,
Yes.
20 gauge shotguns.
That's what it
you know?
is.
Yeah. And that's part of the
Some of
marketing
them
side of
sawed
it too, you know. Stack them on top of one another. But I really enjoy the marketing side as well, because we also kind of get to see that progression.
Yeah.
And I think marketing and product are really interlinked if you're doing it right, you know. And so the general idea kind of comes from marketing, and I always really enjoyed that aspect of it. It's like, okay, why are we getting into these products, you know, because we put a lot of thought into it. You know, we don't just like throw products on the wall and see if they stick, you know. You know, it's a long process to decide, you know, what we're going to get into, and you know, kind of where we're going to take the brand. And I always just kind of enjoyed that kind of background to the actual design. And so
it's a very unique characteristic to have, to be able to separate the two. And Kelly, we were talking last night at dinner about your ability to separate like work from your personal life and developing both at the same time. What are some of the issues that you have with that, and how do you overcome those?
I don't have really any issues anymore. Once I turned 30, I kind of just turned it off. You know, when I'm at work, I'm at work. And then if I need to do work things at home, then I'm at work again. So it's just a separation you have to find within yourself to make it work.
See, I had that. See, that's where I struggle with. And I'm like, because guns and hunting are what I love to do. And that's what I do on my daily. So like it bleeds over so much into my personal life that it's hard to separate. And when we're talking about diversifying, it's like, okay, so we've got to do a video on reloading. Okay, that's not really my strong suit. Well, what can I do to get better at that? Well, one, you got to find primers. Good luck. All right. So I made a really big mistake and I didn't prepare early. Okay. I need to get over that. So when you want to start talking about boundaries to entry, now is one of the worst times to become a reloader.
Yeah.
I think it's almost impossible.
Yeah.
But you scrap and you scrounge and like, okay, I've got 100 primers. Like, great. All right. I can reload 100 rounds. So you get all your components together, and then you got to go, well, now I got to, like, I need to become somewhat of an expert on this. Now, what do I do? Like, okay, I got to call Box.
Yeah.
Like, he was my first call. Like, hey, dude, like, here's what I'm doing. Here's what I'm working with. Yeah. I got 100 rounds. He just laughs at me. He says, well, you can do it. You know, and so he walks me through the process. Yeah. But it's little things like that help you extend your range. And it's just like shooting an IDPA match. Yeah. Well, how about shooting a PRS match too?
Right.
Like, wait, well, that's not my fault. Well, that's good.
Let's do it. Yeah.
Right. Because in the hunting community and in the firearms industry, we're very fortunate, I feel, that I have a box that I can call. I have a Brian that I call. I have a Keli that I can call. Say, hey, how do I plant an elderberry? I mean, like, because we were talking about that last night.
Yeah.
Just we're such an open community, and I don't think you should allow the barriers to get in your way.
I agree.
Because there's always someone there willing to help out and to drive you forward.
Yeah, I think that's why, I've stayed in the industry for so long and not gotten burnt out. The people are just incredible.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
And it's funny. I always, kind of say this joke that, especially at a competition or something, it's like everybody's carrying a gun. Of course, they're all going to be nice to each other,
Well, I've never thought of it that way, but that's a damn good way to look at it.
All the best shooters are all there. You're like, they're not going to miss. You just watch them shoot like 14 targets in like 12 seconds. You know what I mean? So
we're all in trouble.
Yeah. So, I think you're right though, man. Like,
that's funny.
If you want to get into reloading, you know somebody,
right?
And you talk about the primers thing, and I've got tons of primers because I've been doing it for so long.
Really?
I haven't bought primers in like 3 years, probably.
Really?
Yeah, right.
Let's talk after.
Yeah.
How much cash do you need to get home?
But seriously, like, if somebody came up to me and they're like, "Hey, man, I want to get into reloading, but I can't find primers anywhere," I'll give you some, man. Like,
right. And I was just thinking about this. I was like, well, another way to go about it is, okay, I don't have primers. You have primers.
Yeah.
Can I come help you reload stuff? Like that way, go about it a different way instead of saying, well, I don't have this or I don't have that. And that was my excuse for a long time. For a long time, that was my excuse. Or just to step out on the mats. Like, well, I don't have a gi, or, I don't have this. Like, find other ways around it. Like, there's other ways. Like, there's people who will loan you stuff, or, hey, come over to my shop. Let's just walk through it.
Yeah. Yeah. Like I said, it's a mental barrier more than anything,
But do you feel like we're guarded as a community a little bit? Like a little bit of like, this is mine mentality? Like, I don't want to share.
I think as humans that we generally fall back on that.
Yeah. We're guarded.
Yeah.
Like, what are you up to? What's your end game?
Yeah. And you kind of have to be,
You gotta be guarded with some stuff, but I tell folks on the Gun Talk Hunt podcast, I'm like, reach out to me. Like, if you genuinely have an interest in this, I want to help you any way I can.
Right.
Like, if it's you saying like, well, this is the area that I'm hunting, what should I do? Well, okay, I'll look at it. I'll drop pins and suggestions on what I would do, or I will give you personal pins that I have, because like a lot of stuff that I hunt, a lot of it is public land. You have just as much right to it as me. I just walk those roads one more time than you. Like, so yeah, you can have my pins. I don't care. Right. I would get crucified on a lot of websites just for that statement.
Yeah.
A lot of them. Because they're like, well, how dare you share your spots? And how dare, like, why would you do that? Yeah. I don't care. Like, I maybe that's just my attitude towards it. Like, I just, like,
yeah.
And if you can have, but if you can have success at something and you can see someone else being successful,
I agree.
Well, like, just like boxing reloading, he doesn't have to share his 20 plus years of reloading knowledge with me. Yeah. I mean, he worked hard for that.
Right.
Yep. But he's just a nice guy.
He's a nice guy.
He is a nice guy. Yeah. Like, box is great. I love box.
Yeah.
Who doesn't love box? You can tell him now that we said his name on the air, box,
at least like
45 times.
Yeah. Like, why are they talking about boxes? No, it's a guy.
No, it's a guy. He looks like a box.
He looks like a box.
He's ginormous.
He is. He's
a box truck.
Yeah, a box truck.
Box truck.
I like that.
Put it. Yeah. Yeah.
That's pretty good.
Yeah.
47 times.
Right.
But any parting thoughts for our viewers, listeners?
I mean, we just talked about, kind of diversifying, yourself as, in your personal life and in your professional life. It's hard to know when you need to do that, because you get so used to what you're doing.
That's a good point. Yeah.
It's like, so am I diversifying? How do I allow myself to kind of grow? And it takes a lot to be able to just kind of look outside yourself and try to see those possibilities. So I would say that's kind of the biggest thing, is like, take a step back and try to look at yourself from kind of an outside point of view, because especially nowadays we're so hyper focused on stuff, and so, just try to step back, kind of take a look at yourself and ask people too.
Yeah.
You know,
I was going to ask you if you had mentors or anything like
so
that
many
would
good
tell
ones,
you,
man.
like, they would honestly like go like, hey, Keli, I really think you need to try this because I think you'd be really good at it. Like, I mean, do you have anybody, Keli, that you kind of look up to and kind of guides you down those paths?
I mean, my parents have always been a huge role in that. And then Ryan was always a huge role in that, obviously as well. And then just finding people that have the same interests, like, and they don't have to exactly line up. Like, you know, you're a competition shooter where like I like the old antique guns, but now I'm
Right.
starting to get into that also with you guys. So
yeah, surrounding yourself with the right people is huge.
Yeah.
For sure. Yeah, I've been blessed to, you know, have some really great mentors down the line, you know, and I wouldn't be where I'm at, you know, if it wasn't for that.
Right. Well, that timer means that we are definitely out of time on this one. Gun Talk Nation, as I promised, Ryan Gresham will be back. I promise you won't have to listen to me ramble all the time. Keli and Brian, thank you guys for joining. And if you guys have any interest in diversifying or ideas for the crew or ideas for future shows, please reach out to us. You can find a lot of our information on guntalk.com. Just go and you can submit all your questions and comments there. We'd love to hear from you. And if you want to find out more from Lockdown, they can visit
Lockdown.com.
It's that easy. All right, Gun Talk Nation, you guys be well out there and diversify.